donating the proceeds to various charitable organizations. Noah also co-founded the Olive Tree Initiative, an organization that provides educational opportunities surrounding the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and which IAS is increasingly participating in. In the student government, Noah served as an ASUC senator and as chair of the Committee on Constitutional and Procedural Review. How political economy is that? And then went on to become the party chair of Squelch. According to Noah, there are actual political parties in Berkeley's student government. Noah also wrote a weekly opinion column for the Daily Californian, in which he criticized his friends and foes alike who still happen to be serving in the student government. This past year, Noah also served as editor-in-chief and co-founder of an online food review publication, The Starving Critic, and is co-founder and treasurer of Berkeley's chapter of Sigma Iota Rho, an IAS honor society. And he was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa. He is, in other words, an underachiever. Noah is currently studying for the LSAT and will take it next month. After a few months of decompression, he plans to go on what he deems a lovely job hunting expedition in Los Angeles. Please join me in welcoming Noah Ickowitz as this year's student speaker.
Good morning, fellow graduates. Yes, round of applause for all of you. Friends, family, professors, and anyone in the audience who just felt like going to a graduation ceremony today. I know you're out there. Hopefully, you can all take a moment to appreciate this warm and sunny weather, since it is undoubtedly a pillar of the UC Berkeley experience. It's not the Campanile's hype, Sather Gates' metal twist, or Memorial Glade's green grass that makes UC Berkeley anything special. It's the people. It's you, the eccentric people, whom I call my professors, friends, and peers. It is also you, our families, who helped us get where we are here today. Together, we are UC Berkeley. Just like any Berkeley senior, I have filled the last few months of my college career with as much stress as possible to avoid the angst inextricably linked with Tuesday, May 21st, 2013. Whether by focusing on the school-related treasures of 10-page essays and midterm and final exams, or focusing on the not-so-school-related Taco Tuesday at Cafe Durant, yeah, I have done everything possible to avoid thinking about this day, except for writing this speech. It's not because I'm scared of what's out there in the real world. It's because of what I'm scared of losing right here in the imperfectly perfect world of UC Berkeley. Freshman year, I lived on the quirkiest, liveliest, and dare I say coolest dormitory floor there was. Yes. Urban Hall, floor 8, was the first home I had away from home, and it was the best 150 square foot substitute imaginable. Across from me was my newfound buddy, Thunderwalker. Yes, that was his name. Hello, Thunderwalker, if you are out there today. I got to live in a room with one of my best friends, and I was graced with the awkwardness of sharing a co-ed bathroom. Freshman year, with all of its excitement, disappeared in a heartbeat, just as everyone over 30 told me that it would. Even so, the lessons I learned from those 9 months will guide me through the rest of my life. IAS has taught all of us that there is a word for everything, both real and imaginary. A while back, the dean of the undergraduate division, Professor Stovall, described the concept of globalization in a talk I attended. Globalization is the idea that the global interacts with the local in order to change and influence one another. If there's any word that describes the IAS experience, it is the ugly but fitting term, globalization. I'll say it again, globalization. More than the obvious international house, you can see students living globalization in an IAS class on approaches to Middle East crises. You can see it when a student studies abroad and brings the local along with them. Or you can see it in the daily interactions of students whose backgrounds all bring in a different global perspective. You cannot sit in an IAS classroom for more than 20 minutes without a reference to a land or a people far away from here. In a course entitled International Human Rights, Professor Darren Zook transported his students, yeah, let's do it, Darren Zook. Transported his students from Nepal to New Zealand, and then all the way up to Canada within an hour and 20 minutes. With gasoline prices on the rise, I can say that he definitely gave us a pretty good student discount. The advent of the iPad, the pogo stick, and the Snuggie are mind-boggling. But let's not forget that even just 100 years ago, people knew next to nothing about anything or anyone more than a couple miles from their homes. The ability to learn about the entire world has been pivotal to our education. I strongly believe that we, as international and area studies majors, have wisely taken advantage of this global cornucopia of information, which will undeniably help all those right here at home. IAS is one of the only departments that allows Berkeley students to study abroad without leaving Wheeler Auditorium. Now, let me take you back to the lessons I learned outside of the classroom, because what I learned in my final days of freshman year taught me more about how to appreciate global perspectives than the next 3 years combined. When all that was left of Ehrman Hall, floor 8, was its metal walls and doors, it started to look no different to me than floor 1, 2, or 3. The imperfectly perfect painting of freshman year was stripped down to a blank canvas. At that point, I knew I had to go out on a jog and clear my head. Though I am a runner, I rarely ran freshman year. All I wanted to do was meet new people, have fascinating conversations, and do things I knew I could never do again. Running was something I had always done, so I avoided it until the moment I needed something to ground me. I put my ASICs on, walked down the hall, waited for an obscene amount of time at the fastest elevator in the world, which we all remember, and made it to the bottom floor. As cliche as it sounds, I somehow knew the following moment would be important and would even follow me as long as I live. As I exited the building, I saw my 4'10" floor mate, Misha, struggling to get in a taxi with bags twice her size. Normally, I would have run over and helped her, but I hesitated. And my hesitation will never forgive me. About a month earlier, Misha and I had emotionally heated disagreements with a piece of legislation in the student government. It hurt our friendship, and we found ourselves in deep personal fights over the political. I took my headphones, put them in my ears, and decided I would turn the other way and run up the hills. As I started, I somehow felt off. The situation just felt irreversibly incorrect and even disturbing. I could not leave my friend, who I knew was going to Pakistan, without saying goodbye to her. I turned back, helped her with her bags and her belongings. I gave her a hug, and finally I knew that hug was right and that it would somehow matter. We said goodbye, and she was off. I was the last of our floor ever to see Misha. On one of those idle days in July, Misha's flight struck a mountainous region of Pakistan with all of its 152 passengers dead instantly at the scene. This shook me, as I am sure it shook many of you here today. We would be forever deprived of seeing our little ball of spunk, energy, and life ever again. Misha's life taught me how to appreciate moments as they happen, and to be able to be happy with 9 months of bliss, even if suddenly those 9 months are dismantled down to blank metal walls. And Misha's death taught me never to hesitate in crushing a grudge, because even the most stubborn people would never wish that grudge to be irreversible. I've never gone back to that floor, because my memories of it are far more perfect than anything I could get back by walking down it. The Billy Joel that would blast in the bathroom, the obstacle course my floorman and I made in the hall, and my conversations with Misha are perfectly recorded in my brain. The global perspectives and insights she gave me in her life and in her death could never be replicated as much as I wish they could by taking that elevator back up to my favorite place at UC Berkeley. I learned that I must always do my best to separate work from play and the political from the personal. This year, I had strong political disagreements against all odds. It was not about the invisible hand or the state of nature, with a few of my closest friends over a bill in the student government, similar to that which had affected my relationship with Misha just 3 years ago. My friends and I, many of whom I see here today, hello Sharia, hello George, disagreed. But no matter what, we always hugged at the end of the day and shook hands. And that is because of Misha. People would come up to us and not understand how we were still friends. But I and we could not understand how we would not still be friends. My fabulous IAS professors may have taught me the definitions and theories of diverse global perspectives. Professor Zook taught me of the Australian rage against the rabbit. Professor Bangu taught me about the role of culture in conflict. Professor Bartu taught me how easy it is for a country to have a revolution and transition its governmental systems. Just as important as it was to learn the substance of those global perspectives, my peers taught me how to appreciate and respect diverse worldviews, even if they are different than my own. Although the lessons from inside the classroom help us to form our own ideas and political perspectives, it is the lessons that we learn from people like Misha, George, and Sharia that teach us how to interact and maintain respect for other global perspectives. I will do my best never to hesitate in valuing my personal relationships because of political differences. In fact, such friendships are the ones that have built my character the most. These are the friendships that make UC Berkeley, the University of California, Berkeley, the best place on earth. friends once told me that every class you miss is worth about $100 in tuition fees. Well, I would never go so far as to condone ditching class at a graduation ceremony. I may or may not have missed my last class at Cal. Sorry, Mom and Dad. Normally, that's not my style. I feel anxious every minute I'm not in the class unless I am dying of the bubonic plague. And since I am still here, it is safe to say the bubonic plague has not reached the Bay Area. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit in a class knowing it was the last. Just as some cultures don't have words for goodbye, I can't say goodbye to this school or to you, my classmates. Now, I have the obligation to make up for my missed class every day in and out of Berkeley. That I owe to this place, and I think you do too, unless there is someone out there who has actually been to every class, in which case, come find me after the ceremony, and I will give you a trophy. Although I thankfully avoided going to my last class and never want this to end, all good things come to a close. But I wanted to end this on my own terms with all of you here today. Thank you to my family, who will inevitably have to deal with me back in Los Angeles. Thank you to Professor Harris, who helped me with this speech. I'm sure you will give me some constructive criticism, even for this part of my remarks. Thank you to all of my IAS instructors, of whom I am now jealous, because only recently did I realize that you get to stay in college and have as many Miami spring breaks as you want. Lastly, I want to thank all of you. Yes, you. Class of 2013. Look at the person to your left and to your right. Actually, do it. Nico Boa, Ellie Lauder, Simone Zimmerman, Kelly Lester, do it. All right, wait until you do. Okay, we're good. Those people you just looked at will be taking this leap with you. On your way back here from spring break, I know you all realized that this would be your last trip in this direction as a college student, and that it probably freaked you out a little bit. But don't forget that you have thousands of friends and family, as shown here today, that can help turn that angst into excitement. I Googled "stay together" quotes and found one, pretty romantic, and found one from Babe Ruth. He said that, quote, "The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, that club won't be worth a dime." We all need to remember the importance of working together and learning from one another, because I know that if I didn't learn, play, and work with all of you these last 4 years, I wouldn't be worth a dime. Thank you, and congratulations.